Good afternoon. Thank you and welcome to today's webinar on data visualization featuring Tableau software. My name is Mindy Zazinski, and I'm the President and CEO of FYI Solutions. FYI Solutions is a Tableau software partner and reseller. We specialize in data management and integration, business analytics, and advanced visualization solutions. We are very excited today about the presentation, and we're grateful to have Jim Haney from Tableau Software to demonstrate Tableau 8.2 and its integration with open source R for predictive analytics. Jim Haney is a sales consultant and solutions architect with over 20 years of experience implementing strategic enterprise software solutions including BI, analytics, data warehousing, and big data. At the end of our presentation, we will have a brief period for questions using the chat window of the WebEx. There will also be contact information to email any additional questions. Without further ado, Jim, please begin our presentation.
Thanks, Mindy, so much, and thanks, FYI. Can everyone hear me? I believe no one can, but I believe you can hear me okay. I've got to go through two slides to start this off. And first of all, so working with FYI Solutions, a partner of ours, a partner of Tableau, want to start this off with giving Tableau's mission. This is our mission, with everything we go through, with every PowerPoint or presentation we go into. So this is our mission: help people see and understand their data. So throughout the organization, we want to make this, I guess, Tableau's drive. What drives every day for us is to help everyone see and understand their data. And so with that being said, one more slide. I would like to show Tableau's Gartner slide from last year in the BI quadrant. Year before last, we were over to the left a little bit, down. And as far as this year, we kind of moved up to the leaders quadrant. And I think probably the thing to take away from what Gartner was saying about us last year is just our ability to execute. And, we really are proud about that. I think you'll see that a little bit today in the software and the ability to push this I guess, the interaction and interrogation of data down to, anyone in the organization, whether it's the top level all the way down to lower levels in the organization. So without that, I think we'll start in on the demo and move into this. Okay, so first thing I'd like to show is start out with just tableausoftware.com. So once we're through with this today, you can go to tableausoftware.com, click on the free trial, and either pull some of our products for free. I would ask, for a trial version, I would ask that you contact FYI Solutions to help you with this. And today we're going to be showing you Tableau Desktop, this product here, and then Tableau Server. And Tableau Desktop is where we publish our information, create our information, and we publish it up to Tableau Server for sharing within our organization. And get out of this for a second. The next thing I'd like to show you is, so when we were working with FYI Solutions, we had to come up with a data set to work with. We decided to work with FAA data. Specifically, we pulled it from this RITA site, Research and Innovative Technology Administration site, pulled down airline departure arrival information in the continental United States. And we're going to be drilling into that today as a part of a demo. So I think the best thing for us to do is I'll reduce this and I'll start the demo with kind of our final product here. And let me go to localhost. So this is all installed on my desktop, and I'm accessing Tableau Server now. Solutions. So this is the dashboard that we built together, and it's stored on Tableau Server and kind of shows some of the data that we were able to come up together with. And notice you can see, we kind of concentrated around departure information, departure city, departure delay, departure airline, departure outliers. And fully interactive dashboard, I can go in, I can change my number of years that I'm looking at, going back at least 6 years. For the data itself, you can see departure delays going back 6 years, kind of have some seasonality to the delays for our airlines. In the summer months here, also moving over to the winter months. And also over the past 6 years, you can see who has the highest delays per se. And it doesn't look like Newark's doing too well. I'm from North Carolina. They're doing okay, but it looks like Chicago, maybe somewhere out here, San Francisco as well. Going down, you can also kind of attach this to the airlines during that during that period, which is also interesting. And I can see, as far as delays, average minute delays, this Atlantic Southeast airline, which I guess is probably a smaller carrier, they've got pretty high delays. But you can tell they don't really have a lot of flights. But for our larger carriers themselves, they do have a lot of flights, right? So I'm looking at Southwest. You may want to consider looking at Southwest specifically, Delta overall. But I know that last time I flew into Newark, I was kind of interested. So let's look at some of the seasonality first. I'm going to grab some of my summer months, and so June and July I was able to grab them, and I can see who it's over the last 6 years, who are the delays during the summer months coming out of, and you can kind of see some of the orange here telling us the larger delays in the summer months. And so now let's get a little bit more specific, and let's drill in on Newark. Okay, and so you can see the delays coming up during June, July. And now specific to Newark itself, let's look, SkyWest Airlines. They didn't really have a lot of flights. You can tell first glimpse by the color. And that's, so I'll stop here, and that's kind of what Tableau is really about. We want to enable our users to make quick decisions based on visualizations. And I think a couple of these visualizations do this. You can tell SkyWest Airlines, they've got some pretty big delays here, but they don't have a lot of flights. However, moving over into the orange, we see a little bit more volume of the flights. It's Atlantic Southeast. I guess they're a smaller carrier. Here's United. Very large carrier, very large flights. Have some delays. So pretty cool stuff. You can start looking at some of their outliers here too. We've got some outliers, some smaller flights here that are kind of throwing us off. And we'll build this into the visualization here in a second and show you how we can kind of drill into this and interrogate the data and really find some aha moments with the data that we found when we were working with it. So let's kind of return this back to where it was. I'll click here and remove the months. And so, just to kind of reemphasize where we are with this and what we're going to do with this demo. So two parts really. I guess the first part is just there are some people on the phone who haven't seen Tableau yet. So I'll build these dashboards out fairly quickly. We'll interrogate the data. I'll show you some interesting things that we found. And at the same time, what I'd like to do after that is pull in our integration to R, show you how we integrate with R, and finally just quickly review some Tableau 8.2 features that came out over, I believe it's last month and a half, 2 months kind of thing. So let's go ahead and build this out, build these visualizations out. So I am currently in Tableau Desktop, and I'm going to do a little role playing here. So let's just say I am a business analyst within your company or within a company, and my boss has said, hey, I've got some airline data. We need to do a study about it. And specifically, he gave me this RETA data, and I guess more to that, he said, hey, let's look a little bit at the departure, departures and delays in departures, and analyze that. So he gave me a Tableau data extract where I pulled in from the RETA data and put it into a Tableau extract format. And he just gave me this file. And I really don't know anything about the file. However, when I pull it in, Tableau does some things to it, right? It automatically pulls it into either dimensions or measures, kind of builds a meta layer on top of this that we can work with. And specifically, I don't know a lot about the data, but I can double-click flights, and I can tell you automatically that there are 155 million rows in my current data extract that I'm using on my laptop. So pretty large data set on my laptop locally that I'm using and connecting to and doing this querying against. So right off the bat, now I know something about my data. I'm dealing with 155 million rows. Still don't know a time frame that this happened. That's something I probably want to look at too. But I think going back to my my original visualizations we created, we're gonna start in and look more at just look at kind of the delays in general and get some idea about those. So let me start with, and so let me back up a second and kind of show you this. This is Tableau Desktop. This is my canvas. This is where everything's created. I drag and drop here and into columns and rows. You'll see me using the mark shelf somewhat. This changes my visualizations. Later in the presentation, I'll be over here in the Show Me tab a little bit. And these are the different visualizations we support. And based on what you have accessed over here, from a dimension and measures perspective, it'll kind of give you some ideas on what visualizations to use. And it's kind of using Tableau's heuristics based on these type of data, we would recommend you use these types of visualization. Kind of makes it easier, kind of gives you a template to start building from and sets you off on the right foot. So let's move in and create this first dashboard. And let's see, I start with departure delay minutes. I'm going to be using this measure quite a bit. And so it's kind of, we'll have to follow that. I want to use the average. So I want to use the average as my departure delay minutes. And based on the 188 million rows of flight data we've got, average departure delay is 9.9 minutes per flight. And that's kind of interesting. However, I want to look at my airline description. Oops, missed him. Here we go. Okay, so now we're able to kind of sort by who's got the longest delays. Boom, all out 15. Once again, this Atlantic Southeast Airline, they have a pretty large average delay of 15 minutes. This is all great. Doesn't really tell me anything interesting. However, let me pull the number of flights to colors. I don't necessarily like the green on this, and I want to choose this color. Okay, so now that's starting to pop out a little bit, and now you can say that you can see our larger carriers based on flights are moving towards red. So U.S. Airways, American, United. So out of our larger airlines, you can see probably United has the larger delays. So I think probably informative there. We're going to call this guy. Okay. So if you remember previously, I was talking a little bit about, we know the data size. We know we've got 155 million rows and records that we're dealing with. However, I don't really know the time frame. And I think now I want to pull in the time frame and look on that a little bit. So let me pull in, I need to grab my flight date here, which is a time dimension. And I'll pull him over. Continuous. Okay, so flight date looks like 1988 to 2014. And actually what I would like to do is I want to look at the months themselves. Okay, 1988 has all my months in there. You can't see that yet, but we'll do that in just a second. So remember, right, we'll go back to the departure delay minutes again. Move him up to the row shelf. I want to use the average here. Okay, so now we're kind of going through months, and specifically what we would think, as we had seen in the earlier, December 1990, January, kind of your months, your winter months, your summer months are going to be your peaks here. And that's exactly what we would have expected. I want to drill down here in weeks and days. And the reason I'm drilling down is I'm going to break out of the story for a second. When I was pulling this data with FYI Solutions, we started looking at this data. We saw some interesting things. Not only were we seeing some seasonality, which I think we were probably expected, especially if we had airline, experience as well. But one of the things that really stuck out to us, we had some anomalies here in the data, and this was the really cool part about it. I think this probably explains why I like working for Tableau so much. It really gives you those aha moments with the data. 2 or 3 clicks, I'm in here, and 2 or 3 clicks, I saw some anomalies here that were quite interesting to me. And if you look at the time frame, and you look at, I've got a day of flight date versus departure delays, I'm looking around a 0-minute departure delay. When would that ever happen that you would have a 0-minute departure delay? And I look over here, September 12th, 2001. So that was, that's pretty amazing, right? That's the day after 9/11 when they pulled all the aircraft out of the air. So, once again, looking next to it, we saw that huge spike, September 13th, 2001. So, next day after that, I guess they flipped the on switch and everything was flying again, and huge delays average delays at that point. So, once again, pretty cool stuff. Interrogating the data, asking a question that lets you ask more questions, and just from this flight data we found from FAA and started looking at. So, I need to change this back to months because I believe that's what we were looking at from our original date set, and I need to drag my flight date to filters. And I wanted to do relative date. And so just adding some date parameters to this, I did the last 3 years, I believe is what we started with. And we'll apply this guy. Okay. And we'll show the quick filter over here. So now our quick filter, we can pull it into our dashboard in the end. And so we're building worksheets. We're going to create four worksheets all together. And we'll pull that together in a dashboard. So this is my second worksheet. We're going to call this just average delay date. Okay. So we've looked at the airlines, we've looked at dates, and now I think I more want to look at it from a geographic perspective. I'll create a new worksheet here, and I'll go over here, and I've got something called origin state. You can see Tableau recognized this as a geographic, I guess, item. So it'll give it some specific properties. I want to grab origin city too. I'll hold my control key down. And now I'll go over to the Show Me tab I was talking earlier. And since I've got some geography data types here, it's giving me two options. It's giving me a symbol map and a field map. I'm going to use the symbol map here. Got to remember, we're going against 150 million rows of backgrounds. Sometimes it's going to churn a little bit. So, interesting, all my origin cities here, continental U.S., Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. And since we're here, I just want to do this more than anything from I'll pull my nulls out. I want to do this anything more from a presentation perspective. I'm going to move Alaska. I'm going to move Hawaii and Puerto Rico off too, just so it kind of centers in the screen a little bit. Okay, so now it fits on the screen a little bit better, nicer. So, once again, kind of interesting, but not really a lot. It's just telling us, okay, we've got flights coming in from a lot of different cities. Starting out a lot of different cities in the U.S. This kind of gives us all the cities. Like I said, doesn't really tell us too much. So let's drag flights to size over here. Once again, on Mark Shelf, I drug the flights measure to size. It should change the size based on, you're starting to see our larger airports kind of pop a little bit. I'd like to make them pop a little bit more. I'm going to change the size itself with the dots. Okay, that looks good. Now we're getting there. And once again, going back, it's kind of going to be a broken record here, but once again, this departure delay minutes is kind of what I'm interested in. So I'm going to drag him to color. Building with color. And I'm going to edit my format a little bit. Once again, I'm going to go through my orange, blue, diverging first. And step color. And I need to go back. And I'm sorry, I messed that one up. I need to go back, and instead of making it on Azure, I want to do average, because that's what we're dealing with. Okay, maybe average delayed minutes from 00 to something happened with my average delayed minutes. Some of flights. You know what? I'm going to rebuild that one because that kind of had an interesting situation. So bear with me. Problem with that guy. We'll build him right quick again. Go to my symbol maps. Once again, we'll filter him. Alaska. Pull Puerto Rico. Hawaii off. Okay, back there. And I'm going to drag my flights to my size again. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. And my departure delay minutes. Do my color. This is my average. Okay, so my departure delay minutes are averaged 10.9, 10.7.8. Oh, I know what's happening here. So if I edit my colors, so really what happened is we had some tiny, tiny little airports out in the Midwest. I had realized when I was working this earlier that are kind of throwing the data off. And what we need to do is we need to make, normalize our data a little bit. So we'll do that here. Now we're back where we needed to be. Okay, so now you can see where the larger departure delays are. It filters out the really small airports out in the West that I think during the summer months had really large delays. Kind of was throwing our data off a little bit, and that's why I had to rebuild that guy. So once again, back in action. Transparency, I want to make around 60 so I can kind of see the overlaps between the items. I want to add some borders around these guys as well. So now you can kind of see, all the stuff that's going on in Los Angeles. Got a Los Angeles, probably Burbank, probably Orange County, somewhere over here. So now you can kind of see the interaction between each one of them and use it that way. And we're going to call this guy we'll call origin city. Oops. All right, so one more sheet, and then I think we'll be close to pulling it all together in a dashboard. And I think this is where we wanted to kind of look at our outliers. And so what we'll do is flights to columns again. Okay, move show me out of the way. 155 million records one more time. Working with a large data set here. It seems to be going pretty good. When we bring R in here, it's got to crunch through them too. So just keep that in mind. And departure delay per minute. Drag that guy over to rows. Whoops, maybe not. And use the average here. Okay, so what I would expect, I've got flights over here, 155 million rows, and average delay of 9.902. Let's move this airline description out and see what that does to it. Okay, so kind of cool. I want to pull my nulls out of here. I got some nulls that are kind of causing some discrepancy. So now you can see by airline, which is kind of cool. By airline, what's the number of flights each airline has had, but also their average delay minutes. You can see up here, this is that Atlantic Southeast airline, 4 million flights, 15-minute delay, kind of interesting. And however, I think I still want to slice it a little bit more, and I want to drag my flight num out. And so something interesting happened here that I've got to correct. As great of a job as Tableau does in kind of defining what a measure is and a dimension, sometimes it doesn't get it right. So flight num, it said it's a measure because I've probably got I see some chats coming in. I see some chats coming in. We'll answer your questions towards the end, but go ahead and send them and we'll get them in order. And so anyways, so flight num kind of placed that in the wrong place. It's saying it's numeric because I only have numeric, but I know for a fact I may have some alphas coming in the future, so I'm going to move it up to dimensions. And once again, this does not do it in the database. It does it within Tableau Desktop or either on Tableau Server, wherever you're holding your information and coming from. So now I've got flight num in a dimension. I can work with it like I want to. drag him over here to my canvas. Perfect. And so now we're starting to see, individual flights, how many times they've occurred, all this great stuff. And in here, let me change my colors too. Let's see, not my colors, but I want to change my shapes. I want to change my shapes here, make them circular, make them a little transparent so you can see in between them again. Kind of the same thing we've done before up to this point. Okay, so now you can see them all. And you can see I've got these are some of those little Frontier Airlines had a 814-minute average delay on one flight, 589 minutes. So I don't know really what happened. I don't know what happened with the planes or the data here, but this kind of throws it all off. And so just for kicks, let's exclude those from our... Okay, so now we're getting a better spread now. We can research the data a little bit more. I can drill in here. And I can keep drilling. And now I can find my outliers above, but I can also see my specific airlines. And let's say I want to kind of look at just Alaska Airlines. I can see what's happening in Alaska. I can kind of find their outliers. Atlantic Southeast, that was one of those guys. Comair, only got a couple of Comairs. Mesa. So you can see kind of what we're doing here. Gives you the ability to kind of really interrogate your data, ask questions of your data, and so I'm going to show my zoom controls. I'm going to move back out to where I started this. And, I can remove these outliers as well, keep drilling down. We're going to leave this as it is and call it average delay dash outliers. Okay, so that's really the 4 worksheets I wanted to create within Tableau desktop. What I would do now, you can either publish these up to Tableau server for distribution within your organization. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them into a dashboard and use it that way. So and publish that up. So I'll drag my origin city up, my first guy, airlines over below it, and let's put the date over here. Yep. And then our outliers over here. It's kind of almost back to where we were. What I want to do here is I want to make we'll make this guy a filter. So when I click on this, it'll filter all of the worksheets. And I'm going to close this guy out. And average delay per minutes. You know what? I'm going to make him float. We'll bring him, kind of get him out of the side over here. We'll just stick him over here for right now. I guess maybe. I can change my background so he'll be a better color in there. I'm not necessarily worried about that right now. So we'll make him right like that. And I want to make this date filter. Let's do it. Let's apply to worksheets. I want to use all the worksheets for the date filter. So now we're looking for the last 3 years on everything now. Okay, and we'll make him float as well. I thought it was going to make him float. Floating, sorry. And I'll move him right here. So now we're kind of back to where we were. You can, zoom in here. For Newark, it's going to drive all your, worksheets. Remember, once again, we're going against 180 million rows. I can also have the dates as well. So highly interactive here. We're going through a web browser. We created most of the content in desktop. We published it up. I'm sorry, we still sitting in a dashboard. Now we need to publish it up. So let me just sign into, let me publish my workbook and sign in as admin. I'll do it FYI Solutions. And this is where I add the permissions, whatever permissions you need on whatever permissions you need attached to your worksheet. and I want to publish them up. I don't want to include my large extract and publish it up now because that would take too long for the demo purposes. We'll just call this book 2, or we'll call this demo. Okay, publish him up. It's publishing all my worksheets and my views. Going through each one now, publishing up to Tableau server, so anyone in your organization can have access to this that has access to Tableau server. This is probably the last one. Okay, here's my preview. It shows me over here, but I want to open this in browser. And here it is. Here's my dashboard. So once again, we're in Tableau server now. We're showing the actual dashboard and worksheets we created. A second here to pull it up. It's going against that large record set, so it's probably taking a little bit longer than it normally would. And so, yeah, so while we're here, this is Tableau server. This is how you distribute to everyone within your organization. Okay. Give it 2 more seconds. And, whoops, sorry. So I've got a question here. We'll answer the questions in a minute. Immediate. I don't know if I'm having a problem with my server or not. Give it 1 more minute. We'll come back to this. There we go. Okay, sorry, it took longer than I wanted. So here we are. It's on Tableau server. Someone who does not have Tableau desktop can come in, edit this now. They can share it with other people. They can make their own comments to it, share it with someone else in their organization. Also come in here. You can export the image, data, crosstab, PDF. You can email it, embed it in your web portal, however you want to do it. So kind of make it easy to use and roll out within everyone within your organization. Okay, so that's my dashboard. Let's get out of this. So now I want to shift gears a little bit and make sure I'm kind of where I need to be as far as the demo is concerned. So I think I promised that the next thing we were going to introduce was R and Tableau's integration with R. So we released this capability sometime last year. I believe it was 8, maybe it was 8.2. And what I have on my machine is I have a R server running, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some calls to R and create some visualizations off of it pretty quick and show the integration. So I will start with a new workbook, Tableau 8.2 once again. I'm going to connect here. I'm going to connect to the actual extract we were just using. Okay, expand this guy and make sure that my R server is up and running. Manage R connection. I'm going localhost because it's installed locally. I test my connection. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Starting our serve. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so we're successfully connected to our R environment. So now we can make some calls. And so what I'm going to have to do is I've got to create a couple of calculated fields. Let's go back into Tableau Desktop. And our integration with R, what we'll do is we'll create a calculated field. And I have some, bear with me. I have some scripts one of our statisticians helped me create. They're calling the script real function, which is, and so I guess I got a little ahead of myself here. I'm going to change roles. I'm no longer the business analyst. I no longer am publishing that departure delay, I guess, dashboard out to the company. I'm a analyst within your company that has familiarity with R, maybe SPSS, someone like that who knows how to make these calls. And my business analyst who just created that dashboard came to me and said, I've got this great data set with departure information in it, flight information, and I want to do some forecasts on it. We're doing a study for one of the airlines. I'm a consultant. I want to do some forecasting. So now I'm going to put on my, analyst hat, maybe have some statistics in my background. I was able to write an R script calling a certain R format. And specific thing to remember about this is I'm calling a forecast library, but also remember this 7 here. I'm forecasting out 7 periods, and we're going to revisit this in a second. So let's go ahead and build out the forecast. It's forecast data shifting, and click OK. I'm going to create 2 more calculated fields. These other 2 calculated fields are more for the visualization part. My predicted versus actual. This helps me basically add color to whatever we wanted to show, so you could see where it was actually doing our forecasting. Okay, and 1 more. And okay. All right, so now I've got my fields ready to create this thing and create this dashboard. And I want to, change the formatting quickly on my add month. My add month, I just want to do my default formatting to make it look nice. I looked at this earlier today. I wanted to change that. So now it just does a month year format. Okay. So once again, we'll start with flight date. I'm going to drag the columns. I'm going to choose a continuous month. Okay, so once again, we're going to put the continuous month of flight date in there. So 1998 to 2014. One thing I meant to show earlier is, and I should have drilled into this, I can show you in the next worksheet, is we only go to, I believe it's March of 2014. So this is what the forecasting is going to bring us up to October. But I'll show you that and what we're going to do next. And let's see what marks. And forecast, I'll move my forecast date shifting over to rows. Okay, so when I pull him in here, he's going to actually call the R code. It's going to do the forecasting and the date shifting. This might take a second because I'm going through R and then I'm going through 150 million records. Really can't tell the color yet. Let's see. Data. What we'll do is this. And then, if you remember, I created 1 more field, predicted versus actual. Okay, so now we can visually see what R has forecasted for us. So it is going to forecast out to October. Remember, we started with March. So I used my R call to actually do this prediction for us out to October 2014. So, kind of cool, but that 7 is still bugging me. If you don't remember, I'm pushing out 7 periods, and that's still kind of in my mind. That's hard-coded. I'm going to have somebody go in and change that code, blah, blah, blah. Well, not so quick there. I think what we can do is we can create a parameter, and what we'll call it an integer. We'll do the current value 7, so we'll know what we're currently looking at. And what do we call him? We call him our forecast period. Okay, perfect. And now let's go back in and edit these guys. So I want to edit him. And where I have this 7 before, let's double click my parameters here in my calculated field dialog box. And once again, I kind of briefly went through this. Calculated fields in Tableau, maybe you want to add some values together. Maybe you want to add profits, subtract profit from sales or something like that. I don't know, some kind of business. And this is where you would do it. But this is kind of our calculation field area. So I'm going to double click here. It replaced that parameter with a 7. Okay. Replace the 7 with parameter. Okay, here. One more thing, predicted versus actual. I want to do that as well. Minus Okay. And then my add month. Okay, perfect. So now I should be able to show my parameter control over here to the left. So we're currently sitting at 7, sitting on October 2014. Let's knock this up to 8. Going through R, 150 million records. On my laptop, I'm assuming this is probably November. Oh, thank goodness, it's November. So November 2014. So what this does, and I don't want the nuance to slip by anyone here, is so all of a sudden with parameters, you're making this very easy to use. You're calling statistical functions on your R server through Tableau. So, you know, I thought that was pretty cool. So, and I'm not a R expert by any means, but I know that it helps us, you know, push a lot of stuff to R where you can do a lot of your statistics there and pull them back. So date, average delays by day, R, and we'll call this R. Forecast. Okay, good enough to go there. And you know, so once we're here, we're getting pretty tight here. But once we're here, I would be remiss, kind of in my as a Tableau employee, you know, working with FYI Solutions on this, if I didn't show you this as well. And I think if I go to my flight date here and just drag him up to columns. And we want to do continuous month. Okay. And once again, the departure delay minutes. We want to work with average here again. A lot of this is pretty consistent. I can show you here that we were only at March 2014 earlier, which we are. We're at March. So that's my data set. But you know, if you don't have R installed, you still want to do some forecasting. You can still do some quick forecasting within Tableau. It's just not as robust as R and doesn't have as many options and bells and, you know, and triggers to it. But if I go to show forecast here, if you'll notice now I've got some forecasting here going on from a Tableau perspective. Just kind of 2 clicks. We've got some forecasting going on. Estimate December 2015, so pulls it out to December 15th. And if I go to my forecasting itself, I can describe my forecast. It kind of goes through and tells you how we built the forecast. And not only that, tells you the models that was used. We use exponential smoothing within Tableau for our forecasting. Some kind of interesting stuff there that you're really pushing this business forecasting, you know, within your organization. And so, you know, I thought that was pretty cool. Let's go here. One more thing. Forecast options. We've got some options around our forecasting too. You can change your prediction intervals, how much you want to predict, and you know, just get through that. So wrapping up quickly here, one more thing that I wanted to do. I've got one more visualization, and then we can drop into questions pretty quickly. So we're going to just call this Tableau forecast. I've got to build one more R, I guess one more R visualization. And I think the thing here that I wanted to do is I wanted to go in and create our outliers. So let me go airtime to columns. Average. And some average airtime. So this is a new one we're looking at. Average airtime for our flights is 77 minutes. And departure delays, minutes, 2 rows. Average again. Okay, so once again, we can see departure delays per rows up here. I need to create one more calculated field here. and we're going to call him outliers. Once again, we're calling an R script with outliers, with the outliers library. Okay, and let's see. Make sure I'm getting this all correct. And my arrival delay, I just need to filter out some nulls here. I looked at this earlier. Bear with me, special, remove my non-nulls. And drew my outlier field now to color. And my outlier field to size. And so now I want to slice this by flight num. As you remember earlier, we had this. We created a new worksheet, so we're going to move flight num back up to be a dimension because that's where we want it. And into marks. So now we can look at our outliers for our data set. This will take a few minutes here because this is pushing the 150 million records through to our R server on my laptop. So it takes a little bit longer. So I got a lot going on here, going through my little laptop today. There we go. Okay, so I can change the format here, but you kind of get the picture. Now we're able to see kind of these outliers that are kind of discrepancies in the data, you know, versus what I guess R has told us what the discrepancies are, and they're pretty interesting things to look at. I think you know what we would do if I had a few more minutes, we would probably grab these and I'd drop them on a map and be able to look and see what cities they pulled out of. So it'd be a pretty interesting, you know, that would be a pretty interesting thing to look at. And so, you know, once again, you know, just ways to work with Tableau, kind of interrogate the data, kind of our integration with R. We're going to call this just our Tableau outliers. Our outliers are. Okay, so finally, I think what I would do is, you know, at the very end of this, I said 8 2 features that have come out. I need to breeze through these right quick. First thing is a storyboard. We've added storytelling to 8.2. Kind of think of it as a PowerPoint with data that you can interact with and kind of tells different stories. My first one, I'm going to do average delays by date, our forecast. Let me drag him over here. And I've got some comments over here that I might already pre-type, help us get through this. Annotate this guy, annotate a point. I'm just going to say, you know, this looks like it's getting better. I hope we see a spike in November. Just got to send it back out, okay? There. So that's the first story. We'll call this just R forecast. Okay. All right, perfect. New point. Let's see, just a Tableau forecast. And we'll call this longer forecast. Tableau. Okay, perfect there. Once more, this is Tableau's forecasting capabilities. Okay, perfect. All right, and then one more. Then we'll have done good enough, I think, on this to kind of show you. Got to go back and query it and push it through R. So while we're talking about this, I can speed up a little bit. So in addition to story points, adding the storytelling capabilities to Tableau, we also now provide support for the Macintosh. So you can run Tableau Desktop on the Macintosh, which was one of our highest, I guess, requested items through our customer base. So that is provided now. Stop here for a second. And so that we have a community that we support, that people vote on what they would like to see in the next product. That was the number one item, was to be supported with Tableau Desktop on the Macintosh. So it is supported now. The story points, and finally, I will, once this guy finishes right here, I will move forward to the connection screen, just show you there. So here's one of my statistician guys on the phone told me this is probably appropriate for that. Using simple and supervised machine learning models can help us identify more suspicious outliers, and we'll call that outliers. R, you publish this up, you can provide this, people can then thumb through, and you can tell a story. It's really what our storyboarding's about. Let's do this, FYI. Solutions, R, demo. Okay, it's pretty cool stuff there. So that's it. Finally, I guess if I go to data and I connect to data, and this is my last point I wanted to make, and then I'll move on to a couple of questions. You can enter questions in your chat dialog, and if we don't have time to answer them today, events at FYIsolutions.com. I'll put this email address up when we're going through the chats. But anyway, so this is our new connection dialog box. If you're new to Tableau, you probably haven't seen some of this. I hit Tableau Data Extract. Here's our files as well. As far as our unstructured sources we support, Cloudera, Hadoop, Hortonworks, and also MapR. I'm an ex-Teradata person, which is still fond of my heart. So Teradata, as far as our larger DB providers, Oracle, and Columnar support Vertica, and ParAccel is acting vector-wise as well. Stuff in the cloud, Amazon Redshift, and tons of different stuff. You see it on here. If you see it here, you can pull it in. I work a lot with Splunk with my partnerships as well. If it's not on here, you can connect through other database. But just for kicks, let's go this route. Microsoft Excel. We go to my documents, my Tableau repository, data sources, my superset. Just show you the new connection experience. So we've made this a lot more, I guess, GUI oriented in the past. Tried to push this availability and usability to business users as well through a couple of things. Here, you can kind of define your joins, inner, left, right, full, outer, how your joins are going to look within your data set. Also gives you a pretty cool preview of the data as well. If you're hitting a very, very large data set, you're hitting billion row table, you can come here and really narrow this down to kind of limit your data that's coming back that you take a look at. So, just pretty interesting. I think we've gone a long way, and you'll see some of the future stuff if you were at our customer conference. We're doing a lot in this area for our next version, which is version 9, which I think comes out in end of Q1 maybe of next year. And it does a little bit more data scrubbing and interesting stuff here. So with that being said, I think it's time to, bear with me, let me put this up. I think it's time to put over the last slide. Slideshow, slide. Okay, so any questions you can put into chat. I've got a couple here that I'll try to address. If not, you can send to any additional questions to events at FYI Solutions, and I've worked very closely with them on that. We've got a great partnership, and they and I will work with you to help you, any questions. Like I said, downloads are, a free trial, but I would work with them to help you get situated with that. And that's pretty much it on my end. So let me go. So first question is, Tableau Online used to be Tableau Public. So that's from Dawn. So Dawn, the Tableau Online product is completely different from Tableau Public. Tableau Public is an offering, and Tableau Public is available to anyone for free. But what you have to realize, being public, it is available to everyone, in the world who has access to, the internet. They can go to Tableau Public and look at your data. It is, I believe we handle, I'm not sure the current content, up to 1 million row data set. A lot of the newspapers use it, Washington Post, The Economist, I believe UK, one of the UK papers, Seattle Intelligentsia, maybe one of the Seattle papers as well. But anyways, it's where you publish data. A lot, like I said, a lot of journalists use it because it's free. It has the ability to publish graphs, whatever. But once you're out there in Tableau Public, it is available to the world. But a lot of cool vizzes out there. It's public.tablowsoftware.com. I believe is the URL for it. You can go out there and check out a lot of cool vizzes that have been made with Tableau. Tableau Online is really what it is it's our kind of our hosted service. You would purchase that and so much per user and have access to it, but your data is stored in the cloud, and you have to publish extracts for the data. So hopefully that answers your question. Next question is, except from desktop, where else can I get the data from? That's from Amit. So except from desktop, where else? So what happens with your desktop is I create a data source on my desktop, and I can publish it to server. And once it's published to server, your Windows server box, wherever desktop publishes a data source to, as long as it has the ODBC drivers, it can go out and connect to the various data sources that you connected to. So, I think I showed you all the ones. So you may have a worksheet that has an Oracle connection, a Teradata connection, and a SQL Server connection, all blending data together. And it will go to each one of those sources and pull it back. And you might combine that with a Tableau data extract as well. Next question, will this data update automatically as new data is added to the original source? For a Tableau data extract, what I would have to do is I would have to schedule a refresh of the data extract. So I would refresh that hourly or every 15 minutes. It would go out to the source system, rebuild the extract. However big, some of our customers have very large extracts. Sometimes they do that overnight because it may take a while. But we have people with very large data extracts too. But as far as if I was connecting directly to an Oracle database, would it, if the Oracle database is updated, would Tableau update? As long as if I interacted with the dashboard, which caused us to requery the data, yes. Or you can do an F5 and just refresh your worksheet or dashboard as well. So a couple ways it does that kind of thing. So, if you've got a static dashboard that's just sitting there, not doing anything, will it refresh automatically? No, you've got to kind of interrogate it or cause it to send a query back to the database. So hopefully that gets that through. And let's see, does Tableau support role-based permissions? Tableau, so we support Active Directory, and a lot of our stuff that we push in, we also support SAML from a authentication perspective. But from the role-based stuff, I would say it's either in your Active Directory. We can suck that into in Tableau and use those roles. Also, we can do some site-based stuff, and we can do some row-level permissioning and some of that. And we're growing in that area. That's our enterprise. And we're putting a lot of money to, push that, more enterprise-ready availability.